All right, we'll get started. Hello, everyone. Today is June 1st, 2022. I'm Ben Greiner, Director of Apple Technology at Ntiva, and with me is Ross Matsuda, our Systems Administrator focused on Apple Technology. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I always forget to do that. You see my screen, Ross?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, looks good because you and I are right there, right there. That's looking good. So yeah, we did introductions. What's that?
Oh, carry on.
Okay, yeah, we did introductions, and today's topic is self-service tools to get work done. And of course, before we get into it, we always do some Apple news. So what's the news today? Next week is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference. And Ross, why is it not WDC? Worldwide's one word, right? I don't know.
I always forget about that. I think it just rolls off the tongue better with a couple extra.
Yeah.
Or there might be another organization or event that's called WDC.
Yeah, maybe. So WWDC 22 is happening June 6th. Is that Monday or Tuesday? I don't even know.
I want to say Monday. Let me just verify that real quick.
Yeah. Well, regardless, we'll have a lot to talk about after WWDC when it comes to Apple News. But for right now, we have to hold tight. What we will learn is the name and approximate release date of the next versions of the operating systems: Mac OS, iOS, iPad OS, TV OS, Watch OS. I think they talk about all of those typically. Is that right, Ross?
Yeah, generally speaking, you can expect, Apple has a lot of keynotes throughout the year where they launch new hardware. This is the software extravaganza. And so it's all about getting us informed as far as what's coming around the pipeline. It's usually only new features. Every now and then they'll launch something software-wise that goes live relatively early. Otherwise, this really just prepares us, for the upcoming beta cycle, where we can start beta testing and preparing our systems to be able to handle and support what Apple's got coming around the bend for us.
Yeah, that's right. Typically not hardware, right? I mean, they might surprise us. Apple, you never know, but typically it's all software related, focused on developers. And yes, we'll get access to the betas and we'll start testing. We recommend clients only test betas if you have a dedicated system for testing. I am often surprised when we enroll new clients and we discover that they're running pre-release software simply because Apple makes it available. Do not do that. That is a bad idea on your production machine. I'm not that confident in any developer to put pre-release software on my workstation, unless it's a dedicated testing machine. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. That is always fun. I heard Apple has a augmented reality Easter egg somewhere on their website, but I haven't had a chance to check it out. Have you, Ross?
No. I'm fascinated by AR, but I don't have any hardware for it, so I don't really interact with it.
Yeah, you do need a recent iPad or iPhone. So you don't even have an iPhone that will work with it?
It might, but I've never done it before.
Yeah, it might.
Haven't really run into a need to figure out how to use AR for systems administration.
Yeah.
But maybe one day.
Seems to be all for fun right now. I wanted to point out that last month I said M1 Max was selling like hotcakes, and that is true still today. However, be aware of shipping times. The 16-inch MacBook Pros shipping times estimated have slipped to 7 to 9 weeks, which is highly unusual, but in today's environment of supply chain issues, I guess it's not surprising. There are some, like this 13-inch MacBook Pro, in stock, and I saw the Mac Mini shipping within 1 to 2 days. But the higher end, larger MacBook Pros have a very long lead time. And I think it's also one of the few devices Apple is not discounting. Typically, our business clients get discounts on hardware. And I guess because of the demand and the supply issues, Apple's not yet discounting these models. So you're going to pay full price, even if you get the business discounts. So heads up on that. That probably means you want to buy well in advance and maybe buy extra if you plan on hiring later in the year and you want to make sure you have one available. I also mentioned last month that we were leaving Zendesk and FreshBooks and moving to ConnectWise. We have done that. We are now living in this new ticketing system. That's mostly a back-end change, but what it means for clients is you may see some different emails, different styled emails. We're still working on improving the templates. ConnectWise has a lot more templates than we had in Zendesk, about 100 more. So we're working on getting those cleaned up. And then we have another change coming next month. We will be updating our email and phone number. That does not mean our current or soon to be old email and phone number will stop working. It just means that it may be routed slightly differently as we consolidate a bunch of different regions into one service desk workflow. So look for those changes, be aware of those changes, but it shouldn't affect you. Okay, self-service tools to get work done. So when we talk about self-service, that's a term used in the industry, and I assume people know what it means, but maybe we should clarify. It simply means a tool available to you as a client or an end user to do things on your own. So you don't have to go through the service desk or go through us to make these changes. Now, there are several changes that should go through a process. Any type of change management process has checks and balances to ensure that what's being changed is valid and acceptable and secure and will not cause any harm in any way. So everything we're going to present here is safe to use, so to speak. I think that's a good term. And it all starts with support menu. I'm going to do an overview of all the tools and then we'll deep dive into each one as time allows. So support menu is a tool that all of our clients who run a Mac will see in their menu bar. Here's mine. And as I say that, Ross is saying, wait a minute, Ben, not all clients will see that. So Ross, maybe you can explain why some clients may not see support menu.
Support menu is written in Swift. And it specifically leverages a couple libraries and such that are only available in macOS Big Sur and later. So if you're running Catalina 10.15.7 or earlier, 10.14, 10.13, hopefully nothing before 10.13, you will not see this in your menu bar. There are still ways to do all of these things, which we can get to later, but this wonderful little app and all of its shortcuts are only going to be available if you're running macOS Big Sur or the current build macOS Monterey.
Yeah, and Apple keeps up to date and patches security holes in the latest operating system, which is Monterey 12, macOS 12 Monterey, and the previous two versions, which is Big Sur 10.11. Is that right? Or no, 11. Sorry, 11. And then the one prior to that, what's the one prior to that, Ross?
That is Catalina.
Catalina, and that's 10.15.
Spot on.
Yes. Okay. So I would strongly encourage everyone to be running at a minimum 10.15 for security reasons. And if you're not, contact us so we can help you get to 10.15. Although I would like to see everyone running Monterey. There could be many reasons why you're not ready to go to Monterey, but we would like to see you get there. There are lots of benefits to having the latest operating system, and there's lots of benefits to once you're there, keeping it up to date. It's a lot easier in Monterey to keep things up to date. We were not going to go into that today, but that's where we're trying to get all of our clients, and we're trying to get all of our clients to Monterey so that they can more easily make the transition to the new operating system that Apple will release in the fall. At least we will know for sure next week when they announce it. I suppose they could surprise us with a delay, but they've been pretty consistent for the last several years, releasing a new OS in the fall. So yes, if you do not see support menu, contact us, because we either want to get your operating system updated, or maybe your Mac replaced if it's too old to run the latest operating system, or there could be some other reason why it's not running on your on your machine or in your environment, but we want to confirm that. Within a support menu, there's a jumping off point for Macmanage, and Macmanage is also referred to often as simply a self-service app, because that's really what it is, although it's called Macmanage. And we'll go into that in a minute, but it basically allows you to run scripts and install applications and do things that either our team may ask you to do or you can do on your own. Everything there is safe and vetted, and you don't need to be an administrator. I know some organizations do not allow their end users to run with administrative privileges. Macmanage allows you to run, even as a standard user, you can execute these commands. We also have our Ntiva Help Center, which today is very much 100% Apple focused. But we are finally this month going to be updating the domain from support.forgetcomputers.com. We're going to update it to support.ntiva.com, and then we can start using it as a true help center and start adding content that's not just Apple focused. So this is a resource you have, and this is in some but not all support menus. It's called Help Center. It will eventually get to all support menus when we get the URL updated. Apple, this is something Apple provides. This does not come from us. This comes from Apple, but this is Apple's e-commerce store. We can help you build recommended systems. We can help you build proposals. We can help review purchasing. What we cannot do is hit the buy button, because this is your store, your client store. It will have your name on it. This example says Ntiva. Your store, of course, will say your name. And this is tied to your Apple Business Manager, which is tied to our management system. So it's a piece of a bigger puzzle that's absolutely critical to using the zero-touch workflow, which we strongly recommend. So this is self-service. You can buy on your own at any time through the Apple Store. And then we do have the last one we will talk briefly about, and we have a whole webinar on this, which is VisionBot, the self-service tool that not only we use, but we also make available to our clients to use. So I think what I want to do is just spend a little more time with Macmanage, because, well, it's not what I intended to do. Let's hide this and go into Macmanage. And Ross, I'll have maybe you talk a little bit more about this. Maybe tell me, where to go and what to navigate, or I can keep talking.
Sure, no, we can go through some basics here. The Macmanage window is pretty straightforward. Up at the top, you're going to have some contact information, and that'll just let you know, how to get a hold of us. And on the left sidebar, you've got your navigation. You're always going to start here, which is the single most important space, which is the installation area. There's also a section for scripts and info. You'll pretty much never need to use those, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, yeah, we're not using scripts, info, repeat information.
Real basic. The real meat and potatoes of this is this install section. And these are going to be, just like Ben said, these are installers that are curated by Adigy or by Ntiva and made available for everyone to use on their managed Macs. You're going to see a lot of common free-to-use applications and OS upgrades. You can see you've got a couple down there for Catalina. We also have the upgrade installer for macOS Monterey. You'll see those upgrades available, and those are set up to allow you to quickly and easily get that started without a lot of fuss. Other than installers, the other thing you're going to find in here a lot are going to be certain scripts or maintenance items that can be used to do things like rebuilding Spotlight, which is great for issues with search. You can change your default applications for opening certain file types. There's, generally speaking, a lot of things in here you're not going to seek out on a day-to-day basis, but just good to know exist. This section, you can see that Ben's been using that drop-down menu next to the search bar. That allows you to select a category. And we've got a couple categories in there to help you identify these things if you just want to take a browse. The section called General, if it's visible in there, is going to be where the vast majority of your installers live. And this is the default section for items curated by Adigy. The rest are going to be much, much more specific. So you saw we have sections for user configuration. That's where we have items that deal with setting the default app for opening PDFs or your mail client or your browser, things like that. We'll have a section dedicated to uninstallers for removing software. Long and short of it, lots of good stuff in here. And the real big takeaway is if you need an application installed on your Mac and you need it relatively quickly, this is a great place to start your search. Just take a look because we may already have it in our general library. It may already be available to you, and you can just click it through and be done with it. This way you also know that you're getting the installer package for that application from a trusted source, so you don't really need to worry so much about making sure you get exactly the right version to you.
Yeah. We also have our forms here, which is really just a shortcut to a web page because we've had to move the forms around, and they may have to move again. But for those of our clients that use the forms, especially for onboarding and offboarding, this is just a shortcut. Ross, why would we have a Keynote uninstaller in here? Do we have a use case for that?
Oh, you bet we do. So. Deploying assets from the Apple App Store for Mac is tricky. It always has been. That's just the way it goes.
App Store.
So every now and then, if there's a need to push a new version of one of these apps to your Mac, we may have to actually remove the previous version before we can get the newer one to you. Removing that application, deleting it from your applications folder does require administrative access. And if you're at one of those organizations where everyone's running with standard user accounts just for security purposes, you're not going to be able to do that, which is why we built these quick uninstallers. It's one click, cleans the application off your system, and then you can reach out to us or our team to push the updated version. Or if you're at an organization where these applications are automatically installed, once the system sees that application is gone, it should just write on a new, fresh, good copy of it.
Yeah, and that's actually what I'm doing here. I'm using Keynote that has been installed automatically through the management tools. So it does not require an Apple ID. I don't have to enter a passcode to update it. It's automatically updated. But in order to get there, I might have had to uninstall Keynote, my own version of Keynote, before I could get the sort of corporate version of Keynote on there. They're exactly the same. They just, one doesn't require an Apple ID and one does. So a lot of these tools are tools that, even though they are self-service for the person sitting at the machine to run on their time when it's convenient for them, they may not actually run them unless they're requested by our service desk. Please go do X, Y, and Z. Another one that we've had to build is software updates. We've talked about this before, but I think it's Kickstart. Is that right? Yeah, software update Kickstart process. I don't expect anyone to know just what that is or what it should do, but if you're having troubles applying updates, our team may ask you to run this Kickstart process. And in fact, if I run it now, Ross, I think it'll just open up the window. Let's just see, open up the window and try to check for updates. Oh, it didn't in this case, maybe because there are no updates available.
I'll have to double check how I wrote that, but I'm fairly certain that it's only going to open that window if the window is already open.
Okay.
Because it quits system preferences, runs this command to clean it out, and then reopens system preferences to take you back there. Only if the app's already open.
And I know I'm up to date, so there's nothing here right now. You can see some of them I have installed already, some of them I have not. I don't know, is there a difference between this blue install versus gray install, Ross? I just noticed.
Not to the best of my knowledge. I think the only real difference here is that most of these items will have conditions to them. And that just means it checks to see if there's already that version of the software on your Mac. And if it is, then just like it says for Druva over there on the right, you can see Ben's already got that version installed on his computer. So the install button now says installed. It's grayed out because it ran that condition check and it knows, oh, we're already done here. There's nothing left to do. I believe the color of the install button is just a GUI foible of this version of the app.
Okay. So yeah, if I know every person who opens Macmanage may see something slightly different based on their organization. Do we have the ability to customize this, Ross, for an org?
We do. And that is something that I recently wrote a blog post about, because boy, did it take some work to get it that way. But long and short of it is, if you see the need for an application to be deployed at your organization, reach out to us. And it's all about finding out what the best way of getting that to your computers is. Oftentimes that's just enabling auto installation, right? So it just installs invisibly and silently on all of your devices. That's certainly the way we tend to go, if at all possible, right? It's convenient, it just takes care of itself. And then later on down the line, we can update that version. That newer version will go out to everyone silently too. Certain applications, that's not really an option, especially for things that involve cloud storage like Box or Ignite, because those apps really need to be closed before the installer runs. And in some cases, if the installer runs while the app is open, your users may even get pop-up messages saying like, hey, you need to quit Box before you install it. They weren't doing anything like that, so it can be kind of disorienting. And so for applications like that, we can assess with you and then look into possibly making it available in Macmanage so that your team can install it themselves when convenient and on their on their schedule.
Yeah. And that also goes for Mac OS upgrades. We talked about how we want to get everyone, we want to see everyone on minimum 10.15, ideally the latest version of Monterey. And we have an instruction sheet where we have a recommended workflow, do this, this, and this, and then go into Macmanage and install the software. It's a little different than Apple's method, but it works for all users, whether they're admins or non-admins. And we just find it to be a more reliable solution if you follow this path. So yeah, we use Macmanage as a tool, as Ross said, to allow your team to do things on their schedule, because it's really hard, especially as we're all mobile, as we're all working from who knows where at what time, to schedule something for an entire team. So it's best to say, team, we've made this available to you. Here's how you execute it on your time. Okay, do we have any questions about that, or have we had, did we cover it all, Ross, for now? Good enough?
I feel like that's pretty much it. At a later date, we can talk about the script section, but for the time being, yeah, we really keep things out of there.
Yeah, and if you as a client see something or want to see something in support menu, please let us know. Or sorry, in Macmanage, please let us know so we can investigate making those changes. Okay, so let's see. The other thing we had talked about, let me get back to my keynote here. Sorry, I went way too far. Here we go. The self-service tools. So e-commerce. Now, e-commerce will only be available. It's this one here. Will only be available to those authorized in your organization. This is not for everyone. Support menus for everyone. Macmanage is for everyone. E-commerce is really only for those on your team authorized to make purchases. We're connected to your store ideally to collaborate, build proposals, build recommended systems. You're authorized to make purchases. So if you don't have an e-commerce store, it's ecommerce.apple.com. Let us know so we can help you get one set up. You can also talk to your Apple retail team, your local Apple retail store, to help set one up for you. However, they cannot add us to your store. We have to go through a different Apple corporate route to get added. So we do like to get added so we know who has a store, who doesn't, who has zero touch, who needs zero touch, all of that stuff, and we can better collaborate. So if you don't have a store, let us know. Even if you buy, I don't know, through CDW and you don't think you'll ever need a store, I think it's a good idea. Get it set up in case you ever need it. In case you ever need to pivot and quickly get something from the store. Plus, you'll get discounted pricing from Apple. The more you buy, the more discounts you'll get. And then the last tool which hopefully all of our clients know about. But once again, this is only for certain people in the organization. I don't recommend you give VisionBot access to everybody who has a Mac in your org. That would be overkill. But VisionBot is a way that you can go run reports on the devices in under management in our system. You can see the age of a computer, the warranty status of a computer, any problem areas with a computer. And we encourage our clients, when they see anything at VisionBot, whether it's online or through the weekly email summary that gets sent out every Monday, if you see something and you don't understand it or you're concerned about it, please contact the service desk right here. Open a new case. You can also call. I think opening a case is better because you have it in writing. You're like, hey, I have a question about this. Then we can follow up and figure out if that's a real concern, something we can fix, or something we need to get maybe your employees involved in. A good example of that is hard drives that fill up. I'm always surprised at how many people let their hard drive go to 98, 99%. And we keep telling them there is a danger when it hits 100% that it will just stop working. Some people go all the way to the 100%. They don't believe us till it hits 100%. And that's bad. But yeah, so if you don't have access to those tools and you would like access to any of these tools, please let us know. Ross, I think we're actually going to end on time today.
This has literally never happened before.
Yeah. So next month, we are going to talk about Mac servers are dead. And guess what? We came up with this title on this month before Apple officially killed their servers, which they did, I think, in late April. I think it's been a little over a month since they officially killed their Mac OS servers. Do you know, am I right about that, Ross, roughly speaking?
Yeah, it's about there.
Yeah.
So if you have hardware in production, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, worry about it. We'll talk about that next month. But Apple said that they're discontinuing further updates for server.app. So there will be no future patches or support in any form for the Apple server application.
Yeah, and we've been preparing our clients for many years for this. But what we're going to talk about next month is just if you are running a Mac OS server, what you can do to get away from that, what the options are, things that we see, things that we recommend, and we'll go into more detail on that. So if there are no further questions, we will end 2 minutes early and call it a day. Thanks, Ross. And thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye.
Take care.